back to Gaming News with Spoons. If you are wondering why we've gone back to the old setup, stay tuned at the end of the video and I will explain. But let's go ahead and get into some quick news before we get into our big articles and talk about the Wolfenstein physical release for the Nintendo Switch and the controversy that's floating on with that. So, the Nintendo Switch version of Wolfenstein has a box with just a piece of paper that has a redeemable code for the digital version. You heard me correctly, this game has absolutely no physical cartridge whatsoever. Thanks to one of my subscribers for messaging me this on Twitter and pointing this out, I thought this was pretty ludicrous and something that definitely needed to be covered. Because while a box is nice to be able to display, what's the point if you don't have the cartridge, the physical game you can actually put into your system in order to play it? I don't get the mentality of why they would do this, and I feel like it's just kind of a stupid maneuver on their part. So, your thoughts on it, I'm kind of curious to hear what you guys have to say. I personally think it's just a dumb move. If I'm going to have a game in my collection that I have on display, I want to be able to have a disc or some form of media that sits in there to add to the collection, not just have a box to go on display. It kind of defeats the purpose in my opinion, but I want to hear your thoughts down below. With that little bit out of the way, let's get into some of the bigger news and talk about a brand new RPG that is coming from Sega. Project Sakura Wars has been announced as being in development. This is coming out in Japan and Western territories, and that really excites me. Sakura Wars isn't a brand new franchise, it is actually one of Sega's long-running franchises, but it hasn't seen much love over here in the West. We did get the entry Sakura Wars So Long My Love back on the Wii and the PlayStation 2, but that was the extent that the Western audiences really got to this game. Now, it is a mech-based strategy combat turn-based style game, and it has visual novel elements as well as dating elements. And I played a little bit of So Long My Love back in the day, never finished it because there were a bunch of other games coming out that I was really wanting to get in there and play, but this actually seems pretty exciting. I've heard people say some of the social aspects of the game are very reminiscent of Persona, in meaning that they actually do help you progress along your way to leveling up. Like in Sakura Wars So Long My Love, you actually had to talk and interact with your party members in order to make your party stronger. You didn't actually gain experience in battle. So a very interesting concept. Glad this is getting brought over. And it is a soft reboot. It does sound like it takes place a few years after Sakura Wars So Long My Love, so hopefully we don't have to have too much of a story to understand what's going on, since we kind of missed out on the other Sakura Wars games. But definitely a game I'm going to keep my eyes on and cover on the channel, because honestly, that makes me happy that this game is finally getting some attention over here in the West. So Project Eve is a game that is being made by a Korean developer and being made by Kim Song something. I don't know how to say his name, but I'll just pop it up here on the screen so you guys know who I'm talking about. But this man is responsible for doing a lot of the artwork for the MagnaCarta games. MagnaCarta was one of my favorite RPGs on the Xbox 360. I thought that was a really good game. I also really enjoyed Tears of Blood, despite some of its hiccups and flaws, and awful voice acting. But this new project seems to have a lot of promise, and they've said that the game has been inspired by Nier Automata and God of War. Two very interesting games to kind of combine together, but I feel like that there's a lot that they could do with this, because God of War had very solid gameplay and Nier Automata had very solid gameplay. It's kind of being called a semi-open world game, so it's not going to be a huge, expansive open world. I imagine it is going to be much along the lines of what God of War and Nier Automata was in that aspect, where it kind of streamlines your quest but gives you a lot to explore, and that really excites me, especially if they can get in there and use the world to explore and expand the story like those games did. Those were two games that I really feel did that so well. Now, the last bit of news I want to talk about is Hideo Baba leaving Square Enix and Studio Isotolia. Now, this is interesting because there was really no reason given why he left, and we didn't really get any information as to what was actually happening, or even if the project that they were working on, Project Isotolia, is going to be coming out. This was an RPG, action RPG, being developed by Studio Isotolia, published by Square Enix, and had Hideo Baba, who is known for his work on the Tell series, working on it. So whether or not this project is actually going to continue forward without him, what this game's going to be, remains unseen. And there's just so many questions that I have, considering the fact that we don't have information. So we'll update the situation as more comes on, but I felt that it was kind of an unexpected move. And there's a lot going on in Square Enix headquarters in Japan that kind of has me worried, and this just kind of adds to that. But we'll see what happens. Guys, that is going to cover it for Gaming News with Spoons. I did say I was going to explain why we went back to the old setup, or minus the green screen. This is simply because the audio quality wasn't where I wanted it to be using it with the green screen. The way that I had my microphone positioned kind of had some audio issues, and that's one thing I'm kind of picky about, is the way that my audio sounds. So this is why for now we're going to stick to the old setup, but at least incorporate the banner. So if you guys want to keep up to date with all things Japanese gaming related, be sure to hit subscribe there for me. You can follow me off Facebook and Twitter, links down below in that description box, and most importantly, stay happy, be happy, game happy. Spoons is checking out.